أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Very, very happy to see all of you here today. May Allah reward you immensely, because I know that everybody has a lot of choices right now what to do with their time, right? We don't have school. We don't have anybody telling us what to do. Our parents, are free. You could be doing anything right now. I know you could be on your iPad. I know you could be doing something else. But instead you're here for the sake of Allah to make yourself better. You're here because you care. And even if your parents asked you to be here, the fact is that some part of you cares about being good. Some part of you cares about making something better for somebody, okay? And even whether you're trying to make it better for yourself, improving yourself, whether you're just trying to listen to your mom, all of these are lots of reasons and multiple reasons for you to get the mercy and care of Allah, the guidance of Allah. I make dua that everybody here, inshallah, is rewarded, blessed, guided, protected, strengthened, and that we can continue to join each other to remind each other about what is good, and that we can do good things together in this time, in this world that we have. And actually, mashallah, I mean, it's really a blessing for me, because it's such a great reminder to me when I go through, these books. I really feel like I myself am benefiting, because, we are all human beings as well. And spiritual purification, self-awareness, these are lifelong processes. These are something we do for your whole life. Right now, my laundry is going on, okay? Do I stop doing the laundry after my first load or my 10th load or my 20th load? No, every day or two you have to do the laundry, right? Every week you got to at least clean your bathrooms, right? These are things, every time you eat your meal, you clean the kitchen, but it gets dirty, right? You got to wash the dishes again. It's a process. It's a lifelong process. Never ends, right? And you have to refill things, the dish soap finishes, right? The dish soap finishes, okay, go grab some, go to the grocery store, order some, whatever. But this is a process in life. It never ends. And we have to get back. We remind ourselves, we have, number one, the first step is to really have that intention and to care, and then Allah will help from different ways. So I really appreciate everyone here. Inshallah, and I really, ask that, when we meet Allah, that He can count this as something that is truly an asset for us, and that this class can help us, inshallah. And once again, I'm taking from material which is from this book right now, Rising Soul. I did look through Hamza Yusuf, but today I'm going to go from here, and I found a couple of things that go with the topic that are from my book that I wrote as well, because I deal with some of these topics in my social media book as well. So inshallah, we're going to get started today. So, as we have been talking that, the heart, spirituality, purification, it's something which takes place internally. You can't see it the way you see food, or the way you see something around you, or something that it is something which is inside. It's inner, it's unseen, but it's real. And within our heart, there's different aspects. We talked for 2 days already about aspects which really have to do with positioning ourselves to be with Allah, relating with Allah, right? So when we talk about sincerity and intentions, when we talk about the things that we talked about yesterday, love, taqwa, tawakkul, contentment, these have a lot to do with our belief and relationship with Allah. It has to do with how we feel about Allah, how we understand Him, how we accept Him. So, that is one side. I thought today, let's look at another side of spirituality, of our heart, which is how we feel within our heart about things around us. And so one of the topics that it's kind of relating with ourselves and processing our own selves. So some of the topics that have to do with that from the book are anger, resentment, envy. Some people also talk about there's jealousy. There is some people take it to the extent of resentment and rancor. And so when I saw, there's actually a lot of, there's several chapters, and we will try to cover that today if we can. And if we have time to go back and discuss further, we will. But these are some of the topics that we are going to talk about, inshallah. So if we look, those of you that have your book, it is on page 81, talks about anger. You don't have to have your book. But what is anger? So anger is a feeling that we experience. Anger and anything we talk about today, anger, envy, jealousy, honestly, these are all human feelings. It is okay to feel those feelings, okay? So hunger, right? It's okay to feel hunger. You're going to feel anger. If you never feel anger, you have to wonder, are you a human being or are you just a rock sitting on the lawn? If you don't feel anger, you're not a human being. Anger is something we as human beings sometimes feel. However, there's different degrees of anger. There's the important thing is how we handle the anger, right? So the important thing is how we approach, dealing with that anger in our lives, right? And understanding what we are angry about, right? So what we need to be careful about is the type of anger that can lead to a sin, okay? And that type of anger will cause you to lose your sense of honor and confidence. And this is from page 81 that we're going off of. On page 82, there is actually a nice little piece that it told a hadith that I had actually never heard before I read this today, but it says that the Prophet said people were created in different temperaments. Some are slow to get angry and quick to pardon. Okay, pardon means when you let it go, when you forgive. It says some are quick to get angry and quick to pardon, yet others are quick to anger, slow to pardon. The best of them are those that are slow to anger and quick to pardon, and the worst are those who are quick to anger and slow to pardon. So it's just talking about how quickly we get angry and how quickly we forgive others, okay? And then the book talks about what is permissible at the moment of anger. So anger is something which, as we know, it is something which usually happens a little bit suddenly. I mean, it can happen slowly, but when you think about the times that you get angry, oftentimes it's something that, kind of suddenly like, oh, you took my notebook without telling me, or you did this, or you didn't do this. And it's a little bit, it can usually be sudden. Sometimes it's not sudden. However, what is permissible? It says that, and as well as what is not permissible. What it says here is when someone wrongs you by committing a sin, it's inappropriate to respond in the same way. Okay, so somebody hits you, it doesn't mean you hit them back, right? So that is inappropriate. It's so you don't take the same exact revenge, okay? And you are allowed to defend yourself by saying what is truthful at that moment, right? What is appropriate. You can say, hey, you hit me, don't hit me, or it's not right for you to do that, or you can't take that from me, or you shouldn't have done that. Okay, so it's okay for us to state that something made us angry, or you can say, instead of immediately saying, taking revenge, you say, wait a second, you made me feel angry because you did this to me. So you can state that. It says dealing with anger on page 83. Know that the harm, so one way to help deal with anger is to know the harm that happens with anger. And there's a lot of numerous hadith from the Prophet that talk about anger. So uncontrolled anger is from shaitan and deprives a Muslim from self-control and common sense. So there's a hadith here that we probably heard where it says, a man once asked the Prophet to give him simple, straightforward command to act upon. The Prophet answered, do not get angry. The man asked for another counsel, and the Prophet said, do not get angry. The Prophet said on another occasion, strength is not in bodily might, rather strength lies in he who is able to control himself in a moment of anger. So when you think about strength nowadays, right, you think of somebody who can lift like a heavy weight, right, or go to the gym and you see those, bench press things or whatever, that we think of that. We think of that as a strong person, really. I mean, that's what you think of. Nobody nowadays thinks about character, but what the Prophet is telling us is that true strength is not the person who can lift the most weight. Yes, that's a form of strength, but true strength is character strength. True strength is a person who can control himself in a time of anger. Why? Because it takes a lot of self-control to do that. That takes strength. That takes a lot of strength. Okay, also Allah says in the Quran, be quick in the race for forgiveness from your Lord and for a garden whose width is that of the heavens and the earth. prepared for the righteous. Those who spend, whether in prosperity or in adversity, who restrain anger and pardon others, for Allah loves those who are good. This is a hadith. I'm sorry, not a hadith. This is the Quran, Surah 3, verse 133, 134. Notice something. Every time Allah talks about anger in the Quran, He doesn't say those who do not feel anger. He never says those who do not feel anger are good. He says Allah loves those who restrain anger. There's a big difference between feeling anger and restraining your anger. Okay? And if anybody would like to tell me what the difference is, you're welcome to. But I think everyone understands that feeling anger means something made you angry. Restraining that anger means controlling it in a way where it's just healthy, okay? Where you're not taking revenge and committing a sin or hurting somebody, right? And also we're reminded on page 85 that remember that Allah is capable of acting on His anger towards His servants. So when we're feeling angry and we're tempted to do something wrong or hurt somebody or be destructive, we should remember that that might lead to a sin, and that would make who angry? Make Allah angry. And that there's nothing wrong with Him acting on anger, because Allah has every right to act on anger, okay? I do want to mention that there are times when it's very appropriate to be angry, right? We know some of the events going on in the world right now. If there's an injustice, you can be angry about an injustice. However, what you do with that injustice, what you do with that anger, really needs to be thought about. You don't go and create more problems, right? You don't go and destroy buildings or, hurt more people. One murder shouldn't lead to many more murders, but there are times when you have to stand up for justice, and that is an appropriate time of anger. Or if somebody is committing a sin in front of you, right? So if somebody around you, they're refusing to pray and they have to pray, eventually that should appropriately make you angry, that why aren't you praying, right? But we handle that in the appropriate way. And so some advice that we're given in Islam is that you can change your body position. So when you feel angry, one of the things that happens is that you have this physical reaction, like this. There's a physical presence of that anger in your body, and that's chemical, physical, physiological, however you want to describe that. And so this physiological reaction, sometimes all those chemicals and feelings in your body are trapped, and it makes you not realize that you're just reacting to get that out of you, okay? So you have this chemical that's trapped inside, and you just want to automatically get rid of that chemical. However, one thing you can really do is to change your physical position, okay? So in our sunnah, we are advised that if you're standing up, sit down. If you're sitting down, lay down, okay? Because this will actually get your heartbeat to go down and to calm you down. I personally would advise to walk away from the situation, because if you're in a conflict with somebody, and perhaps if you're angry, maybe they're angry as well. Oftentimes when you're angry, the other person is angry as well. And that could be a conflict, that could be a confrontation. One way to stop that from getting worse is to really get yourself to walk away from the situation if you can. So that is something that really, really helps. Another really, well-known hadith, it's from Abu Dawud. It says, anger is from shaitan. Shaitan was created from fire. Fire is extinguished with water. So if you become angry, make wudu. I was actually referring to the one where it says, anger burns your good deeds the way fire burns wood. So that's one, that's another hadith. And this actually leads me to envy, which is the next topic, which is related to this, and it's the next section. So if you look right after the anger section, there's a section entitled resentment and anger and envy. So anger is one level of this really negative feeling. Okay, something or somebody made you feel terrible, and it makes you feel angry. But what happens if you hold that anger for an extended period of time? It gets buried inside. Maybe there's some anger about some issue and there's nothing you can do about that, or you feel helpless, or you keep getting faced with that situation, right? That in that situation, that anger can build, and when it's not addressed, it becomes something called resentment. Okay, resentment is like a deeper level of anger that kind of is like buried inside of you, okay? And the thing to be careful about is that resentment, if you don't keep it in check, if you don't try to clean yourself from that, it's actually hurtful to you. So when you hold anger, when you hold resentment, the first person that really hurts is you, okay, if it's an unhealthy level. And resentment can lead to other faults of character, such as envy, backbiting, spreading secrets, aggressive behavior, and indifference. So here we're advised on this page to remove resentment through knowledge and action. So as a Muslim, what makes us unique, and it's a blessing too, is that when you have these negative feelings, you should really take care of them, because that's taking care of yourself. That's taking care of your spiritual cleansing. That's good for your health. You don't just let it sit there. If you have dirty laundry, if you have dirty clothes, dirty dishes, you don't just let it sit there. And we should know that this kind of thing, anger, resentment, if you let it sit there for so long, it becomes like that mold that's in the, those unclean areas, right? And eventually that mold, if that's in your artery, what would happen? Eventually that would be a heart attack, an explosion, right? And so what we do as Muslims is we have to try to take actions, proactive actions, knowing this is in our best interest. So even if other people made us feel a certain way, like a negative, feeling, it's in our best interest to cleanse ourselves of that, okay? And so envy, right? So envy, so there's resentment and then there's envy. And related with envy is jealousy and competition, but I want to tell you a little bit of the fine differences. And at the end of the day, it's similar with each other, but envy is defined as, on page 89, is to wish that someone's good blessing would be taken away. So when you see that classmate that has something that you just are just like, I wish they just didn't have it that good. I wish that person or that relative or that person on my street or this person I know, I wish, why do they have it like that? Like, I just feel so bad that they even have it that good. And you actually wish that some bad thing would happen to them. Like if something bad happens to them, like you're literally thrilled in your heart. So in that case, that's called envy. And this is really, it can be a source of animosity and sin as well, especially when it becomes an extreme case, okay? And so, okay, so in fact, this is, envy can take place in so many ways, in so many forms. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's an example here on page 89 where the Prophet himself received envy from people of the book. Can you imagine that? He is here sacrificing, trying to tell people about, following the right path for their own good. But Allah says in the Quran, it says that many of the followers of the book wish that they could turn their back onto the believers after your faith out of envy from themselves, even after the truth has become manifest to them. The Prophet Muhammad said, do not envy one another, abandon one another, hate or shun one another, be, O slaves of Allah, brothers. I want to mention that part of having a holistic heart and preventing envy is really acknowledging that it is Allah who decided to give everybody what they have. It's Allah that created everything. It's Allah that decided and measured and planned, and He has the knowledge of everything. And also in understanding our purpose in this life, right? If we understand that our purpose is to really worship Allah and live within our means, and then we're so busy worrying about that we're not looking at what other people have and feeling envious towards that, okay? And also knowing that perhaps you have something that someone else doesn't have, right? And maybe that person looks like they have something and yet you don't know what they don't have, right? So having relating it back to that tawakkul that we have in Allah. Yesterday we talked about contentment, right? Contentment, if you have contentment and tawakkul, then this will help in having that healthy core for your spirituality, and then this will help you to control that envy, because envy can also take over many times if you just allow yourself to not be busy with remembrance of Allah, not be busy with serving yourself and your family and others. If you're not living that life, right, of doing all those things that Allah wants us to do, then what happens? If you're not doing those things, then you can easily fall into these dark pockets of despair and sadness and envy, and anger and resentment and things like that. And so we're reminded on page 90 that negative thoughts are natural. So sometimes there is a healthy level of competition, a healthy level of even jealousy. For example, it says competitiveness. It talks about competitiveness. So, when you handle the competitiveness that you feel in a healthy way, like, oh, this time you got a B on your test, and the student sitting next to you got an A, and you realize it's because you didn't study and they did. You might feel a little jealous. Oh, they got such a good grade and I didn't, or they won something I did. But if it just is a healthy level where you realize that, oh, I didn't study, next time I'm going to study. That's healthy, right? Or, or somebody worked really hard to, to save their allowance and they finally got to buy that toy or electronic or outfit. When you realize and you process things in a healthy manner, then that's good. But if you allow it to become where you have resentment and envy and it's overtaking you to the point where you're not grateful and you're even angry about it, that's when you can start thinking that you've gotten out of line and you're not really focused on what you're supposed to be. Okay, there is a hadith that says jealousy is appropriate in 2 instances. To be jealous of a man who is given wealth and spend it for the sake of the truth, and of a man who was given knowledge, acted upon it, and taught it to others. So there are 2 instances where jealousy is still a healthy thing or a good thing, because that jealousy is going to motivate people to do more, right? To do more good. Also, here talks a little bit about the causes of envy, and I want to touch on that as well. And I'm going to pull that from this book, actually, because I do want to mention that now that we live in this world where the norms are different from what they were even 15 years ago. And part of that has to do with, media and social media. And I just want to at least spend a couple of minutes considering that. So here in this book, it's about social media. So if we kind of switch our mind into thinking about social media a little bit, we have to realize that everything that's on social media is not real, okay? It says that, in fact, everything is, not everything, many things on social media are not real. Many things are really put there, for a certain purpose, and some things are, are truthful and factual, and there is good in there, but there are some things which just show like a glamorized moment of a day, or it shows people, in their best, right? Or having fun, or doing a vacation, or doing something where it's not everyday life. And so those images can easily bother us sometimes to the point where we feel an envy. And I want to share a story. It's on page 51. It's just like a little story that will talk to you about how this girl went through this herself. So it goes like this. Sadia is a happy girl in 9th grade. She has a close group of 5 friends who do everything together. Everything was great. Sadia's cousins had recently moved in because they just moved from Pakistan. Her father opened his home and let them kind of take over. Sadia was the oldest child, but now with 2 older cousin sisters, her position of authority in the family got bumped. Her father started rolling out the red carpet for them like never before. Sadia was patient with sharing her space and family, and knew that the blessings would come from God. Sadia's friend Sheila had another older brother and sister who were out of college. Sadia and Sheila had no issues between them. It was all love and it was all good. At home, Sadia was looking forward to getting her hand-me-down car from her dad. She had been waiting and working towards earning it for 2 years. It was going to be a milestone in her life, and she had already gotten attached and planned her life after owning the car. Suddenly, her father takes a drastic decision to give his car to his nieces from Pakistan. He wouldn't even consider Sadia's opinion. Sadia was heartbroken and crying was not relieving her. Sadia opened his Instagram as a distraction. Oh, her Instagram, did I say her? As if by a curse, the first picture on Sadia's feed is her friend Sheila's 16th birthday. Not only have her wealthy parents surprised her with a brand new Range Rover, but her brother and sister got her a condo for her birthday as a weekend getaway. She would get as much personal space as she wanted, as well as a brand new set of wheels. Did Sheila even realize how lucky she was? Sadia felt a hot pang of envy. Envy is when you wish to have something that someone else has. In the post, Sheila is beaming in her selfie in front of her new car and sharing pictures of the inside of her leather trimmings, comfortable top, and radio. To worsen the envy, There were other pictures of Sheila with her older sibs enjoying ice cream and drinks in their new condo. Not only did Sheila have all this, she had siblings who looked out for her instead of ratty, needy cousins who took everything. Sadia felt crushed like never before. Why did she have to be the unfortunate one? Why couldn't she have what her friend had? So this is just a story, but it's pretty realistic. I just want to, say that this is a pretty realistic experience. And in this case, what would Sadia, what should Sadia do? She's going through this experience. She can try her best, to really control her feelings of envy and jealousy, right? And her feelings of anger that she might be having in this moment. She's going to need patience, but she's also really going to need to not focus on what her friend Sheila has, right? It's really not going to be healthy if she just feels very angry with her life and, just looks at what her friends have. And maybe that could even cause a gap in their relationship. So there's a lot more we could talk about in that. We have to hop to the Kahoot game because of our time limit. But I do want to just, share with you that story as something to ponder on, and just to, let us think about where envy can come from, and where, how we should manage our anger and our feelings of jealousy, and how we can try to, really be a little bit more down to earth and realistic. And it's also something to think about, that we should kind of limit our time on social media, or if we're on social media, we need to really be cautious going into it. We need to be cautious that that's not real life 24/7. Maybe someone else has something, but that's not our situation. That's not our family. That's not our life. And that's okay. People can have different situations. Maybe you have, like in this story, this girl Sadia, she has these house guests that are just taking over her life. Well, a couple of things, that's not a permanent situation. And number two, we as Muslims are here to earn Allah's pleasure by helping people in times of need. Even if it is hard for us, she will get a lot of reward in that situation. If she has to share her things, maybe her cousins, they didn't appreciate all the stuff she's sharing and all the time she's patient, but Allah will reward her. And as we know, this dunya is not the final end, right? We have an afterlife that we're working towards. So the person who believes that this dunya is the final destination, yes, they might have these feelings of anger and envy. They might be more, they might be tempted to take revenge immediately. They might feel worse and, hopeless when they see other people have it better than them. But the person that really understands our purpose in this life, that this is a temporary life, that we are here to really try to please Allah, worship Allah, be good, to take care of ourselves and be good to others and serve. And when we know that even when we sacrifice and we're patient, that Allah is rewarding us with something, and we can't see that reward right now, but we will get the benefit of that reward in the akhirah. These sort of beliefs are going to help us to strengthen our spirituality, our heart, our iman, and it's going to help us to control those negative feelings down to a healthy place in our heart. Okay, let's pop over to the Kahoot, inshallah. It's just very short, and it's like a little review. So, Bismillah, if everyone can get onto the Kahoot. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And yeah, I know you guys are going to do great on the Kahoot. I'm going to once again ask Allah to help me when I share my screen. Please stay. Classic. Okay, everybody. So 575-7623. I'm very happy with, you girls are doing very good on the Kahoot. So we have, the PIN number is 575-7623. Let's see. And I believe that I went over everything that's on the Kahoot. We talked about anger, resentment, envy, jealousy. They're all kind of related with each other, and it has to do with how we process our feelings inside of our heart. Okay, we have 9 people. Let's see if we can get a couple of more people. You guys are doing great, mashallah. I never thought we could get through so much material in a short period of time, but we're really getting through plenty of material. And look, the cat is sleeping today.
Really? Oh, yeah.
The cat did not even bother me today. He's just sleeping here next to me. Asma, do not wake him up. Last night, me and Asma had a slumber party, and she included the cat. The cat stayed with us. Okay, 16 people. Let me push start. Okay.
Cats for life.
Hey, Asma, we have to get back to the Kahoot now.
Okay, you can do it.
All right, Bismillah, we're going to start. Some of these are some true and false questions as well. So it goes like this. Number 1, true or false? Anger is a natural feeling. Is that true or false? And everybody almost got that right. The answer is true. Anger is a natural feeling. Okay, it's totally fine to feel anger. Number 2, Allah rewards those who suppress their anger. Is that true or false? Another word is restrain. Allah rewards those who repress or suppress their anger, restrain their anger. Oh my God. You know, I was having a moment right now. I'm not fasting, but I was drinking water and I started feeling guilty for drinking the water. And I was like,
Control,
not that. Oh, what is one way to control anger? Talk back, walk away, take revenge and cool off, or tell everyone? What's one way to control anger? Many of you got that right. One way to control anger is just to walk away from that situation. I don't know why. Sorry for some typos. It's like, number 4, true or false? Holding in anger hurts you. Is that true or false? Holding in anger hurts you. Well, I can tell you because I am, compared to y'all, I'm like a dinosaur. And yes, holding in anger does hurt you. And the answer is true. Most of y'all got that right. Y'all are awesome. Some of y'all are doing great. Aisha Maliha, Big Chungus, and there's more. Lana K, there's a lot more people. Everyone's getting great. What is one way to control envy? Number 5, realize Allah is the one who decides all things. Blame your parents, destroy what they have, or none of the above. What's one way to control envy? Very, very good. Realize that Allah is the one who decides all things, okay? And we can just take a quick moment to realize that. That ties back with our aqidah, right? So in our aqidah, when we really have tawheed, when I took a class in tawheed, I didn't at that moment know why we had a 180-page book talking about Allah is one. I literally was like, how many times are you going to say Allah is one? But I understood it after I took the class. Months and months later, I realized that's why, because Allah has many, many attributes. One of those attributes, he decides and he measures and he gives and he sustains. He's the one who really does those things. It's not the people around us. The people around us are like, they are there, but the one who's really in control and who allocates everything is Allah. So the rizq that you have, sometimes, has it ever happened to you that you weren't even planning to have people over, or you were planning to, you cooked something or made some cupcakes or cookies and it was for somebody else? They didn't end up getting it and somebody else came and ate it instead. Has that ever happened to you? Well, no. You know what? The rizq that's written for people, Allah already knew who was going to eat the cookies, even though it was for someone else. I'm going to go to the next question really quick. Let's see. We are number 6. Resentment is a deep form of what? Resentment is a deep form. Pride, hunger, anger, or none? Pride, hunger, anger, or none of these. What is resentment? It's like a personal feeling. It's a very hurtful. So it's a deep form of anger. That's what resentment is. It's just another level of anger that's very, very deep when you don't take care of it or when you keep going through something. Number 7, one problem with social media is that it can cause people to feel jealous and envious. Is that true or false? One problem with social media is it can cause people to feel jealous and envious. And that, oh my goodness, you guys are so amazing. 17 of you got this right. Let me tell you one thing. One thing for girls, and that's why I really wanted this class just for girls, because one thing that happens to everybody on social media is you see a girl that's prettier than you, okay? every girl goes through this. I mean, and it's not just 6th grade or 7th grade. When someone sees a girl who's, oh, wow, you know, she looks so pretty, you know, she was so skinny, you know, she went to this place, that, you know, that's one thing, because as girls and as women, it's very natural that, you know, everybody likes to look pretty and fit and skinny and all this stuff, fashionable, whatever you want to call it. But looks is a very big thing for women. That's a natural way that Allah made us, that's why Allah also asks that we cover our beauty, because women are created as beautiful creation. But, you know, oftentimes when you look at social media, you see somebody who is, you know, it doesn't matter what you've done to be, you know, healthy and take care and do the right things. And then if you open the social media and that person, it could be your friend, it could be anybody. Oh, they look so beautiful. Oh, you know, everybody likes them. And then honestly, it even gets into some other issues as boundaries. Like, I know we're out of time. There's another whole section, you know, mentioned about boundaries. And sometimes it becomes a competition, like, oh, this is how many boys, you know, became friends with her on social media. This is how many boys are following her. I don't have that many. This person has thousands of followers. I only have 1,000 or 2,000, like that. And then it starts like all these feelings, you know, like envy, jealousy, this. So, you know, it's important that, you know, even though we live in this world, that we keep a reality check and we keep perspective of things. You know, we just need to keep things in perspective. And so we just want to be conscious and aware of these issues. I really appreciate all of your, you know, productive input here. 17 of you got this question right, so I'm so happy that you're aware of this issue. Let's see some of the winners. I know we have, everyone is a winner. Everyone's a winner, and Maliha got 7 out of 7. Everyone's a winner because you're here and you tried. Hanuna is a winner. Mashallah, Aisha Sayed, congratulations. There's more. There's more. There's Big Chungus Mariam. I don't know if I can see, if I view the report, there's going to be, oh yes, I like that. We're all winners. Thank you. I don't know who did that, but thank you. I was gonna check who are the winners. There's view, okay.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, mashallah, thank you. So players are here. So we have a lot of winners, guys. Look, actually, for 100%, we have Farah, Mariam, Big Chungus, Maliha, Hanuna, Aisha Sayed. And then we have even, if you look, we have a lot more players. So thank you to everybody. Lana K got 7, Asma 8, Lena 9. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Oh, the rank, okay. Lena, we have Lana Banana, Mariam, Aldairi, Asia, Rayan, Aliza and Hani, Aya, Zainab Hamid, Ahmed. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you. You guys are on the right track. You're doing the right thing. And inshallah, we will be back tomorrow. Inshallah, jazakumullahu khairan. I will miss you until then. I'm going to do a short dua. I hope that we will consider these things that we discussed together. The conversation can go on forever, but it's just something to think about, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.